The outing. Right, class 6. Right, class 6. I'm talking. I want complete quiet. And that includes you, David Alexander. Yes, you. No need to turn around, David. There aren't any other David Alexanders here, are there? Louise, it isn't absolutely necessary for your watch to play us London's Burning just now, is it? Right. As you know, it was our plan to go out today to the Science Museum. Now, I had hoped that it wouldn't be necessary for me to tell you. Yes, you as well, Abdul. You're in class 6 as well, aren't you? I saw that, Mark. I saw that. Any more and you'll be out. No trip, nothing. I had hoped that it wouldn't be necessary for me to tell you how to behave when we go on a trip, but, and this is a big but, you haven't heard a word I've said, have you, Donna? This is a big but. I have to tell you how to behave, don't I? Why? Yes, it is because you never listen, but there's another reason, isn't there? Yes, Warren, because of what happened last time. Let's remind ourselves of a few things, shall we? The food, even as I speak. Would you believe it? I can see that Fan has opened her can of drink. I don't believe it. I really don't. Do we have lunch at 9:30 at school? No, we have lunch at 12:15. But Fan, you've already begun yours. If you remember last time, Joanna had eaten all her sandwiches before she even got to school. Lloyd sat on his orange and burst it, and Alfred put one of those little chocolate Swiss rolls in his pocket, and yes, it melted. Yes. So remember, lunch is when? Yes. Yes. Of course, lunch is at lunchtime, but when? 12:15. Correct. Now, perhaps, I thought, when I got up this morning, I won't have to tell class 6 about what to do when we get to the station. But then I remembered David's little gang, who decided they wouldn't wait for me to tell them what train to get on. And before we all knew it, David and his little gang were heading for the seaside on their own. Now, when we get to the museum, of course you're not listening, are you, Lydia? But then of course you didn't listen last time, did you? And then you wondered why you sat on Lloyd's orange after Lloyd had already sat on it once. When we get to the museum, do we run about the corridors? Do we run around screaming? Do we go sliding on the shiny floors? No, we don't. No, we don't. No, thank you, Mervyn. That's enough. I'm very glad you've got jam in your sandwiches, Mervyn. We're all glad you've got jam in your sandwiches, Mervyn, but what's it got to do with sliding on the floor of the Science Museum? Precisely nothing. I'm very sorry, Mervyn, but nobody at all wants to know about the jam in your sandwiches, Mervyn. Now, when you're ready, when you're quiet, we'll all go. That doesn't mean leaping up in the air, does it, Karen? Louise, why is your watch now playing for He's a Jolly Good Fellow? Yes, I know it could be She's a Jolly Good Fellow, Zoe, but that isn't what we're talking about now, is it? Mervyn, if I hear about your sandwiches, your jam, or the jam in your sandwiches, if I hear about any of it once more, I shall give them to the ducks. Yes, John, what do you want? I don't know what ducks, John. Any ducks. Right, when there's complete quiet, you'll find your partners and stand by the door. Oh no, not another one of those little chocolate Swiss rolls again, Alfred. Surely not. Marcia, you cannot have Charmaine and Donna as your partner because that makes 3, and 3 doesn't mean partner, does it? And perhaps you could put your comb in your bag for at least 3 seconds, just giving us enough time to get to the door. Right, okay then, class 6, we're off. Why not leave your watch behind, Louise? The Hypnotiser. Once a boy called Richard came to school and said, I can hypnotise people. So he said, yeah, I bet you can't. So he said, okay, playtime. So playtime. We all went on to the playground. He said, right, who wants to go? So Trevor said, yeah, me. So this boy, Richard, bade Trevor lie down on the ground on his back, and he took this gold ring out of his pocket and he put it very carefully between Trevor's eyes, on the bridge of his nose. Then Richard took this conker out of his pocket. It was on the end of a string, and he starts swinging the conker to and fro in front of Trevor's eyes, and he starts up talking in this spooky voice. Watch the conker, go to sleep, go to sleep. Watch the conker, go to sleep, go to sleep. And it went on for ages. And we were all crowding round, dead quiet, watching Trevor, listening to Richard going, go to sleep, go to sleep. Is it working, we said. Is he going to sleep? He's hypnotised. Blimey. Suddenly, the going in bell went, boing, boing. At that, Trevor goes and stands up. He just stands up, dusts himself down. So we all crowded around him going, were you asleep? You were asleep, weren't you, Trevor? Hey, were you hypnotised? And he looks at us, all fed up, and he says, only thing that happened was I got a rotten headache. After that, we used to go around telling people, you see that bloke over there? Him, Richard, he's brilliant. He can hypnotise people. He's a hypnotizer, you know. And Richard, he'd hear us saying all this, and he'd go, yeah, I'll come off it, you lot. I'm not that good at it. Strict. We had a teacher who was so strict you weren't allowed to breathe in her lessons. She used to stand out the front going, no breathing! And you had the whole morning to get through. The weak ones just used to keel over and die. You'd hear them going down behind you. Kaboom, kaboom, kaboom. And there was always a whiny kid going, meh. Can I go out and do some breathing? And she'd say, no, you've got all playtime to do it in. Oh, go on, miss, oh, go on. Do you know, at the beginning of the week, there were 48 kids in my class. At the end of the week, there were only 5 of them left. Yeah, do you know, at the end of the day, you'd be stepping over kids just to get out the room. Oh, no, there's Melanie. That's a shame, she was really nice. There's Dave. Hard luck, Dave. Always knew you were a bit weak. Do you know, people say to me, if that's true, how come you're here to tell the tale? Fair enough, and I'll tell you, it's because when I was at school, we used to sit at desks. We didn't sit round tables like you do now. We used to sit at desks with lids. And some of us figured out what you had to do was snatch a quick breath under the desk lid when she wasn't looking. So once more, from the beginning. No breathing. The weak ones. Kaboom, kaboom, kaboom. The whiny ones. Miss, can I go and do some breathing? No, you've got all playtime to do it in. Oh, go on, miss. Oh, go on. Us lot. Boom. Ah! That was the mistake, slamming the desk lid down. If you made a noise with the desk lid, it was out. School prison. There was a school prison underneath the school hall where they used to string you up from the wall bars. Miss, I've been up here for 3 weeks. And there's rats. And they're nibbling my toenails. So I figured it out. What you had to do was put your thumb round the edge of the desk lid. So when it went down, it didn't make any noise at all. Once more, from the beginning. No breathing. The weak ones. Kaboom, kaboom, kaboom. The whiny ones. Miss, can I go and do some breathing? No, you've got all playtime to do it. And oh, go on, miss, oh, go on. These other kids. Boom. Out, school prison. Miss, I've been up here for 3 weeks and there's rats and they're nibbling my toenails, miss. Me, thumb round the edge of the desk. No noise at all. Survival. The project. At school, we were doing a project. You know the kind of thing. The Vikings. Transport. Wood. Our project was Holland. There we were reading My Friend Hans from Holland. And we made windmills and stuck blue strips of paper onto white strips of paper. They were canals. And we kept talking about tulips and cheese. In the end, I thought they grew cheese and 8 tulips. Then suddenly one day, our teacher, Miss Goodall, said there was an inspector coming in. She said he wasn't going to inspect us, he was going to inspect her. And we were all to help her by being really good and answering all the questions that he asked us. Later that day he came in, he had a moustache, we behaved, Miss Goodall behaved, there we all were, sitting in our rows, behind our desks, breathing very, very quietly. And he looked at our windmills. And then our canals. And he said, what do they eat in Holland? And I didn't put my hand up in case I said tulips. But Sheila McLean said cheese. And he said, what do they grow in Holland? And I didn't put my hand up for that one either. But Margot Vane said tulips. And he asked some more questions and we were doing really well. Miss Goodall was trying very hard not to look proud. And then he asked, who is the Queen of Holland? There was silence. No one knew who was the Queen of Holland. Miss Goodall frowned and then started looking all round the class with her eyes looking all hoping. And then suddenly I remembered this funny little rhyme that my friend Haribo used to say. I put up my hand. Yes, said the inspector, Queen Juliana is a fat banana. I said, Miss Goodall looked awful. Haribo was sitting in front of me and I saw him snort and start giggling. Sorry, what did you say? Said the inspector. Queen Juliana. I said, good, he said. You're right, quite right. Miss Goodall was delighted. I was delighted. The inspector was delighted. And Haribo was still snorting away like mad. When we did spelling, it wasn't like the way you do spelling. You know, your teacher says, right, you've got some words to learn tonight. And then you go home and have you got those things where it says check, cover, learn, read, cover, learn, check. Have you got one of those? Yeah, my daughter has that. And it's check, learn, cover, read, check, read, cover, check, learn, cover. Huge bits of paper. It's longer than the word itself. The word says something like bat. Check, cover, learn, read, discover, learn, check, read, check. By the time you get to the end, you're so tired, you've forgotten the word at the beginning. But anyway, look. And then she comes in the next day and the teacher says, right, we're going to do your spelling test now. Okay, bat. And you sit there and you go, bat. Bat, what's that begin with? That's D, isn't it? Yeah, D. And you look across at your mate. Oh, right, begins with a C, does it? Oh, right, okay. C-A-T. Good, right, that's spelled bat. Good, yeah. Lovely. And then the teacher says, right, okay, we're just going to check them now. Bat. That's B-A-T. Did you get that right? And you go, yeah, I got that right. Yeah, that's right. Oh, no, it wasn't like that in the Stone Age. Oh, no, this is how it was. Every Friday, she wrote 12 words up on the blackboard. 12 words up on the blackboard, and then she'd say, learn them! She had that nice way of making you feel at home at school, you see. Learn them! And then you had to write down the 12 words in your notebook. And you got them all in your notebook, and now you've got a whole week to learn them. We used to have a whole week, so every morning on the way through the Memorial Park, on the way to school, I'd be practicing my words. Disappear. D-I-S-S-S. There's quite a few S's. Oh, no, it's only one. Right, okay, yeah. On we go. Obedient, O-B-E-M. Oh, yeah, right, that's right. See, I'm practicing my words till you come in the following Friday, and you know what she's doing? She's rubbing the words off the blackboard. Because you know what you've got coming up now is the spelling test. And this is how it goes. Her finger starts roaming round the room, looking for someone. And then she's going to go, you! And then you have to stand up and spell out the word in front of everybody. okay? Only she wasn't looking for somebody who could spell. She was looking for someone who couldn't spell, so they'd stand up, get it wrong, and be shamed up in front of everyone else. This is what they used to call the shame-up hour. Like this. And I figured it out. If you didn't want her to pick on you, you had to look like you could spell. How do you look like you can spell? Like this. I couldn't spell, but I looked like I could. Do you see? She didn't pick on me. These other kids are sitting there going, don't pick on me. And there's always one kid who would be hiding behind someone else, you see. And she could see right through kids' bodies. She could go straight through and see the kid behind going, no, don't ask me, disappear. And she'd go, you, how do you spell asparagus? And the trouble was, she never told you how to say the words. You didn't know that it said asparagus. You had the word asparagus, but you thought that that said a speegy-weegie. You'd learned to speegy-weegie. She's asking you, how do you spell asparagus? And you're going, asparagus? Asparagus? You didn't give us asparagus. That's not fair. What's it begin with? Asparagus. What's that? It sounds a bit like a bellyache. I got a very bad asparagus. It's just in there, you know, when feeling a bit sick. Miss, I got asparagus. You see, like that. So you go, she's going, what's it begin with? It's going round and round in your head. What's it begin with? S. No, you. And that was my mate, Jimmy. She'd go, you. And Jimmy, it was very quick. He goes, I had to see the doctors, miss. See that? It was right in there. And she went, every night? Well, no, not actually. And you're breathing. I'm not. Well, you are now. Hold your breath. Oh, spelling, that was difficult. So again, very difficult to write if you were worrying about the breathing and the spelling. The register. Right, class 6, register time. That means everyone sitting down. Everyone, Darren. No, Darren, we're not feeding the snails now. Sarah, could you pass me the register? No, I haven't got it. You've got it. You went to fetch it, remember? Oh, that was yesterday, was it? Darren, leave the snails alone. One moment, everyone. Mr. Hardware wants a word. Right, class 6, Mr. Hardware says that any tennis balls landing in the gutter by the kitchen will be left there till Christmas, when they'll be sent to Dr. Bernardo's. No, he's not my doctor, Louise. My doctor doesn't need tennis balls. Dr. Bernardo's not alive. Yes, I know, Wayne, that if he's not alive, he can't use tennis balls. Darren, don't touch the snails. Do you hear me? Does anyone know who or what is Dr. Bernardo's? No, Hugh, not a dog's home. Yes, Abdul, a children's home. Well done. Oh, I wonder, Mrs. Morris, I don't want to be rude, but I'm just settling the children down. Perhaps you could see a way to leaving now? I'm sure David is okay, Mrs. Morris. Yes, cake making on Friday will be lovely, Mrs. Morris, but... Wayne, that's very rude. We've talked about kissing before. If Mrs. Morris wants to kiss David goodbye, that's okay. And you've got no right to laugh. Oh, thank you again, Mrs. Morris. Yes, biscuit making too. That'll be lovely. Thank you so much. Goodbye, Mrs. Morris. She's not waving to you, Sophie. Yes, Colin? Well, I'm sure Mr. Hardware means any kind of ball. Footballs, basketballs. You got a baseball from your American cousin. That was very nice of him. No, I don't know who won the World Series. I can't guess because I don't know the names of any baseball teams. Mrs. Riley, good morning. Right, class 6, Mrs. Riley says that if anyone who usually has a school dinner on Thursday but wants a school-packed lunch for the outing to the Science Museum, then could they fill in the form? Yes, Judy. The form? Well, I'm not quite sure what form at the moment, but I'm sure a form will be coming along soon. They usually do, and I'll tell you when it does. Well, if you don't want a school-packed lunch and you don't bring a packed lunch, then You'll be very hungry, won't you? Darren, I don't want to have to tell you about the snails again. We're doing the register now, not snails. Yes, Zoe, I know quite well that I'm not actually doing the register at this very second, but I will be, and I could be. Do you know what the time is, Mervyn? You do. Do you know how many minutes late you are, Mervyn? You do. Do you have any idea how we're going to get you to come to school on time, Mervyn? You don't. Mark and Hong sitting very nicely. Mrs. Morris, you're back. Yes, we could make toffee as well. An excellent idea. Quiet! There'll be no toffee for anyone if there's that kind of noise. Thank you so much, Mrs. Morris. I'm sure we have the right pans for making toffee, but I can't look just now. Bye-bye. Yes, of course. Bye-bye. Rashida, Jason, Simone, all sitting very nicely. Darren, not sitting nicely, not sitting at all, in fact. Oh, no. He's left the lid off. Quick, Abdul, the lid. Put the lid back on the snails. What? One's missing? Which one? No, not all of you. Everyone come back, sit down. Abdul and just Abdul, can you tell us which snail is missing? Robin. Was Robin in the aquarium before? Darren? No, Mervyn. Snails don't eat each other. You know they eat leaves. All term we've been looking at how they eat leaves. We've written poems about how they eat leaves. We've drawn graphs of how many leaves they eat in a day. And now you're telling me that they eat each other. You know, sometimes I wonder why we've got these snails here. Oh, it really isn't something to cry about, Paul. I know Robin was your favourite, and I'm sure Batman doesn't miss him. I'm not sure snails do miss each other. Look, I just don't want to deal with this right now. I'm sure Robin will turn up. He can't have gone far. Snails don't gallop, do they? Darren, is that the truth? Is what Salima is saying true? Is it? Well, take Robin out of your pocket right now. Put him back in the aquarium and go straight downstairs to see Mrs. Rashid, and you can explain to her what you did to Robin. I'm not sure you'll be here for Mrs. Morris's baking day at this rate. And who's this? John. No, I'm sorry, John. No, you can't have the register just yet. Tell Mrs. Riley we'll be down with it in just a moment. Right, Class 6, the register. Now, where is it? Where was it? It was here a moment ago. Can anyone see the register? Can anyone see the register? I was born in the Stone Age. I was born in the Stone Age. When I was at school, we didn't have chairs or desks. We sat on rocks, and we didn't have paper or pens. So Miss used to say, "Get out your rock." And then we wrote on rocks with a smaller rock, or what's called a stone. Then I went home. And we didn't have TV in the Stone Age. We just had a rock. Mum used to put a rock on top of the rock, and we'd say, "What's on the rock tonight, Mum?" And she'd say, "A rock." And then we watched The Rock. We just stared at it for hours. And then we went to bed, which was also a rock. We just lay on a rock. Then the Stone Age came to an end. We woke up one morning and everyone said, "The Stone Age is finished." You can see that when you look at your timeline on the wall of your classrooms. There's the Stone Age. That's at the beginning of everything. The Stone Age is at the start of your timeline, and the Stone Age begins with a line. Then comes the Stone Age, and there's a line at the end of the Stone Age. The Stone Age just ends. That's how it was for us. Then along came the next age, and that was the Leaf Age or the Twig Age or something. What is the next age called? The potato age. No, the mud age, I think. Yes, that's it. I should remember. Anyway, I was born in the Stone Age. This is a teacher saying something about me when I come into a school. I won't introduce you, Mr. Rosen. I'll just say a few words. Good morning, everyone. Oh, I think you could have done that with a bit of a smile, couldn't you? No, don't do it again. On your bottoms, on the back row. Yes, on your bottoms. Now, we've got someone to visit us today. Someone very special. Someone who's come a very long way. Yes, and here he is. And do you know who he is? Yes? No, it's not Michael Jackson. He's in America, and anyway, he's a singer. Yes, it's Michael Rosen. And what does Michael Rosen do? He's No, Lee, a bookmaker is something very different. He's an author. Christine? No, dear, your father's name's not Author, love, it's Arthur. Well, Susan, we don't normally ask people how much money they get as soon as we meet them, do we? I'm so sorry, Mr. Rosen. They are very forthright, the children round here. Now, let's get on. This is Michael Rosen, and he writes books, and he's going to... Rashida, where are you going? Well, I'd much prefer it if you asked, and you have had all playtime to do it in, haven't you? On your bottoms, on the back row, yes, on your bottoms. Mr. Rosen is tall enough for all of you to see him. Richard, that isn't what we say if we see someone with a beard, is it? He didn't mean to be rude, Mr. Rosen, but he hasn't got a father, and he calls all men with beards hairy face. You can ask Mr. Hogan, he'll tell you. Let go of Tariq's ear. Yes, you. Who are you? You don't go to this school, do you? I'm so sorry, Mr. Rosen. We seem to have a stranger in our midst. Well, if he goes to Morningtown, then that's where he ought to be. Well, if he hasn't got a teacher today, then he ought to be at home. Well, if his mum and dad are out, then he ought to be... Well, he ought not to be here. Everybody, sit down. On your bottoms. Yes, on your bottoms. Settle down. Settle. Mr. Rollo, I wonder if I could ask you to pop into the kitchen and ask Mrs. Argyle if they could just possibly stop banging the saucepans for the next minute or so. No, David, we won't all pretend to bang saucepans, and Samantha's head isn't the saucepan that you're going to bang. They do a lot of making their own music here, you know, Mr. Rosen. On your bottoms, everyone. You've all seen David and Samantha before. All eyes to the front. To the front. Yes, the front. Now, let's all have a really nice time, and when we laugh, let's just laugh, and not do what we did when Wizzo the Wizard came. Wayne, Darren, Hong. Let's show Mr. Rosen we know how to behave ourselves, like sensible grown-up boys and girls. Now, Tariq's friend, where's he gone? Ah, yes. Now, you'd better come with me. I'm so sorry, Mr. Rosen, I can't stay to see you. I've got to see a mother about a girl who swallowed a marble. Her brother wants the marble back. Yes. So, settle down, everyone. They're all yours, Mr. Rosen. Yes. This way, boy. What did you say your name was? Yes. I mustn't keep you any longer, Mr. Rosen. If they start banging the saucepans again, Mr. Rollo will deal with it. They're all yours, Mr. Rosen. I'm sure they'll be a very good audience. Dinner hall. Everyone stop eating. Stop eating and look at me. At me, Darren. I'm not on the ceiling, am I? Sean, is that a potato you're putting in your pocket? Well, I think it would be a good idea if you took it out again before it gets mashed. Thank you. Now then, everybody, and I mean everybody, Susan, dinner times are just not good enough. When I came in here, Gemma, I said stop eating, and that means stop eating anything, even the water beaker. When I came in here, I just couldn't believe my eyes. Is it really such a big deal that Mrs. Gallagher has made chocolate custard? I can't believe, Stephen, that your mum lets you put chocolate custard on your chips. But that's what you were doing here. And there were two girls. No, don't look round. Two girls, eyes this way, please. I'm not going to say who they were. They know quite well who I'm talking about. There were two girls who decided that Mrs. Gallagher's chocolate custard was really lipstick. Rashida, I know you're very proud of your Superman lunchbox. It's not a bird. It's not a plane. It's a lunchbox, and lunchboxes don't fly, Rashida. They stay on the table in front of you. Hold it there. If I hear the rustle of another crisp packet, I will ban all crisps forever. Which reminds me, it's no secret, is it, that if you put a crisp packet on the floor and stamp on it, it makes a bang. So, football team, it's nice to see you all getting on so well together, but I'm telling you now, there won't be a football team if you try your let's jump on 11 crisp bags in a row joke again. But today, Darren, good, I've come off the ceiling, but I'm not outside halfway up the tree either. Eyes this way, please, this way. And today, you know what I'm going to say next, don't you? Yes, Zoe? No, I'm not talking about the fingernail you found in the ketchup. I'm talking about the noise. I said to you in assembly that it's okay for you to talk. But William, Abdul, Melvin singing "Come on you Reds" isn't talking. I'm also talking about the way we eat. Susan, tell me straight, did I or did I not see you sitting down with a dinner that consisted of 5 baked beans and a chip? Yes, I thought so. You must eat more, my dear. These dinners are very special, and Mrs. Gallagher works very hard to make sure that the food is good for you and tastes nice. So eat up and eat more, and Mark, that doesn't include you. Yes, Warren. No, that's true. None of the staff do eat school dinners, that's correct. We each have special reasons for that. Mark, where Mr. Holmes goes at lunchtime and what he eats or drinks is nothing to do with you. OK, so your dad goes there too. But that's between Mr. Holmes and your dad. Come and see me later. We'll talk about it later, all right? Now, those of you who bring sandwiches in, can I just remind you again that dinner time is not market day? I'm not sure, Samantha, that it was fair of you to swap a Milky Way for 1 Polo Mint. No, Samantha, I'm not getting into it now. OK, so it was 3 Polo Mints, but it's not the... OK, so if it was half a Milky Way... But I can't have this kind of... OK, so it was 3 Polo Mints and a flying saucer, but I can't have this kind of business going on in school. Yes, Rashida? Yes. I know his real name is Clark Kent. And so, to the matter of clearing up. Darren, I'm not in the cupboard. You know the routine. Leftovers in the slop bucket. Knives and forks in the bucket of water. Plates on the pile. Beakers on the trolley. Is that so very difficult? Why is it that every day Mrs. Gallagher finds leftovers in the beakers and beakers in the slop bucket? Could you please make a special effort to get that right? The beakers we can clean out, but the farmer who gets the slops says pigs don't like beakers. Right now, everyone, special effort and enjoy your dinner. Science. We were doing science. Properties of matter. Solid, liquid, gas, ice, water, water vapour. Everything in the universe is solid, liquid or gas. Take something solid, warm it up enough, and it'll become liquid. Warm it up more, and it'll become gas. Cool the gas down enough, and it'll become a liquid. Cool it even more, and it'll become a solid. Haribo whispered to me, "Hey, you could freeze a fart." "Yeah," I said, "and you'd have a little farty ice cube." "Yeah," he said, "solid fart." We were doing science. Properties of matter. The homework book. Miss Williams said that from now on we would have homework. and that we were to bring a homework exercise book to school. This was serious stuff, all about passing the exam called the 11 plus. Everyone was worried about the 11 plus. Would I pass? Would I fail? Everyone was worried. Teachers, parents, us. I couldn't get to sleep. Mum brought me hot milk. On Mondays, Miss Williams went through the homework in our homework books. While she was talking, I got bored. I drew a picture in my homework book of a man with a big beard right in the middle of my maths homework. He was carrying a bag. He put things he picked up off the pavement into his bag. I called him Trev the Tramp. Miss Williams went on going through the homework with the whole class. This was really important. We had to listen or we wouldn't pass the 11 plus. Everyone was listening. Everyone was concentrating so that they could pass the 11 plus. I bent down behind the boy sitting in front of me. I looked across to my friend Harry Bow and held up my picture of Trev the Tramp. I pointed at Trev the Tramp. I whispered, Trev the Tramp. Miss Williams saw me holding up the homework book. She was onto it in a flash. What's that, boy? What is it? I quickly shut the homework book. Nothing, Miss Williams. She rushed over. She was brilliant at rushing over. She grabbed the homework book. She flicked through the pages. She found the picture of Trev the Tramp right there in the middle of 23 times 12. This is it, isn't it, she said. In your homework book. I'll tell you what's going to happen now, boy, she said. You're going to take your homework book home to your parents along with a letter from me. She pointed herself when she said, me. My goodness, you're in trouble, boy. Serious trouble. For the rest of the day, I was very quiet. I put my feet down on the ground carefully, and I made sure I didn't bump into anything. At going home time, she handed me a big white envelope. The letter to your parents is in there, along with the homework book. But when I got home, I couldn't face giving it to my mum. I couldn't face giving it to my dad. I nipped upstairs and slipped it under my bed. All evening I was thinking about the big white envelope with the letter from Miss Williams, the homework book and the picture of Trev the Tramp. I didn't want to give it to them. I didn't want to see their faces as they read the letter and looked at Trev the Tramp. What I did was put the big white envelope on their bed when I went to bed. In the morning, my dad said, "Oh dear, you poor old thing. You must have been so worried about that letter, eh? I'll write one back. I'll say some things in the letter that will make sure you won't have to worry about this stuff anymore. And I'll get you a new homework book." At school, my friend said, "Did you get into trouble? Did you get the whacks? What happened?" And I said, "My dad said I wasn't to worry." They didn't believe me. And I don't know what my dad wrote, but Miss Williams never said anything about it ever again. The head never said anything about it again. My dad was a teacher, and maybe he wrote in some kind of special teacher language. That meant Miss Williams wouldn't ever say anything again. Some kind of teacher code. Yeah, that's what must have done it. An author came to the school and gave a really interesting talk about her book, Silly Solly. Everyone laughed. They loved Silly Solly. At the end of the talk, she said, "Now, has anyone got any questions?" One boy put his hand up.
Yes, said the author. Who won the FA Cup in 1985? Darrens Car. Now, children, today we're going to use our imaginations. And I want you to think, if you could turn into an animal, what animal would you choose to be? Yes, Donna. A cat. That's nice. And why would you like to be a cat? Because you like to be all cuddly and sit by the radiator in winter and stay warm. Lovely. Darren? No, Darren, a car isn't an animal. I'll come back to you in a minute. Zoe? A cat. Yes, that's nice, but let's think of some other animals, shall we? Yes, Zoe, I understand you want to be a cat too, but Donna's the cat. Yes, I know there could be two cats here, but Donna used up all that magic that makes cats. You're going to be something else. A leopard? A panther? No? OK, Zoe, you're a cat. Just remember you had your chance to be something else. Never mind. Darren, I've told you, you can't be a car. No, not even your dad's car. It's just not going to happen for you today. OK? Oh, Zoe, now you do want to be something else. What do you want to be? A jellyfish. Very interesting. Yes. Mervyn, how about you? A slug. Mervyn, is this all getting, silly? No? You want to be a slug so you can lie about in your backyard so that your cousin will tread on you and go, ugh. Nice, Mervyn. Very nice. Darren, no. I mean no, not your uncle's car. I don't care that your uncle's got a BMW. You're not going to be a BMW today. And Louise, what would you like to be? An eagle? A dolphin? Anyone thought of being a dolphin leaping through the... what? A cockroach. Louise, why in heaven's name do you want to be a cockroach? Oh, I see. Because you've got cockroaches at home and your mother says there's nothing you can do to get rid of them. Yes, Louise. Yes, I get the point. But cockroaches are, OK, be a cockroach. But Darren, you cannot be a car. You can't be your dad's car. You can't be your uncle's car or any car whatsoever. Well, yes, I understand. OK, you can be a car with your dog in it. Very clever. Yes, your uncle's BMW, if you like. No, you won't be doing a ton on the motorway, Darren. You've got a dog on board. Remember? Well, that starts us off. We'll do some more of that tomorrow. Perhaps. Acorn, Conker and Key. Hey, Acorn. Who do you think you are? A hard guy? You look like a little hard-boiled egg sitting in a cup. Well, I'm telling you, hard guy, a squirrel is going to find you. And if he doesn't eat you, he's going to bury you. Just because you're the start-out point for the tree that made the first ships to go right round the world, that doesn't mean you're a big shot. You're no circumnavigator. And you, Conker, always up for a fight, aren't you? Let me get at him, that's you. Well, I know your little secret. There you are, lying about in your little greenhouse, and then, when the walls split, out you pop like you think you're some shiny new car cruising out of the garage. But I've seen inside your little greenhouse. You lie there for weeks all tucked up in a soft white bed, don't you? Hard man. But you, Sycamore Key, you're plain weird, just plain weird. You jive about in the air, jiving in the wind, cool moves, man. But then you lie on the ground in a heap with all the other jivers looking like a dead moth. There's hundreds of you, dead moths lying there. You're weird. Where are you at? Car school. One day, a car pulled up at our school and said, "I'm your new head teacher." The old head teacher was taken out the back and put in a skip, and the car drove into her office. The car changed the name of our school. It was called Car School. And we got a new uniform that had a picture of a car on the front pocket. The mayor came to our school and said how lucky we were that the car had come and was sharing with us all that it knew about cars. Car School was in the local newspaper. Everyone wanted to go to Car School. To get in, you had to do a car test. There were questions about cars. The mayor said that cars had a lot to offer to the community so that we could all move forward. Some of the old teachers left, and the new teachers were cars. Blue, red, silver, dark green. A boy in my class wrote a story about a car that ran someone over. He was asked to see the head teacher, and we never saw him again. A woman came to the school to talk about road safety, and she said how going by bus was a good idea. One of the cars stood up and said that what she was saying was unbalanced and unfair. I go to car school. Brum! That's our school song. Growing apples. And the king said, "How do I turn this apple into thousands of apples?" The wise men scratched their heads, muttered among themselves, and consulted their great books. One stepped forward. "Perhaps this is some kind of joke, Your Majesty, but one could say that one could make 1,000 apples by chopping one apple into 1,000 pieces." "Balderdash," said the king. "I said thousands of apples, not some nonsensical business about hacking an apple to bits." Another wise man stepped forward. "I've heard that beyond the horizon there lives a man who sings to the objects in his house. Tra-la-la, tra-la-la. It's said of him that he can cause things to multiply. Maybe, tra-la-la, tra-la." "Poppycock!" roared the king. "I wasn't looking for some holy-moly jiggery-pokery." And on it went. None of the wise men were wise enough to solve the problem. A serving girl who was pouring the wine caught the drift of what was going on. "I know how to turn your apple into thousands of apples," she said. How the wise men laughed. "The cheek! A little whipper-slapper like her, as if she'd know." "Come then," said the king. "Speak, girl." "I'd bury your apple," said the girl. There was silence. The wise men looked at each other and sniggered. Bury it. What good would that do? But the king didn't wait. "You're right, young lady. Completely and utterly right." The bell. There are 48 children in my class. We sit in 4 rows of 12. We sit in twos, one next to the other, at desks with 2 lids, side by side, one each. Miss Williams works out where we sit. We do tests, arithmetic and English. She adds up the marks, and whoever's got the best mark sits at the top of the class, in the desk at the end of the first row next to the window. Whoever gets the worst mark sits at the bottom of the 4th row, furthest from the window. And she works out everyone else's place from the mark that they get. She does this every week. Every week we do the tests. Every week we change places. We take everything out of our desks and move very quietly to where she tells us to go. This way we always know who's better than you, and we always know who's worse than you, unless you come top, when there's no one better than you, unless you come bottom, when there's no one worse than you. The same people are always in the top row, the same people are always in the bottom row, the same people are always in the 2 rows in between. Miss Williams says that only the top 2 will pass their 11 plus. She stands next to the last person on the end of the second row. She holds up her hands as if she's helping people cross the road. This side will pass, she says. This side will fail, she says. This way we know who are the 11 plus failures and who are the 11 plus passes. And we all know that before we've even taken the 11 plus exam. Next door, there's another class. They are all 11 plus failures. I want to be 12th. This is because the person who is 12th sits nearest to the bell that sits on top of Miss Williams's cupboard. When you're 12th, you take the bell, you go out of the room, you go downstairs and you stand in the hallway outside the head teacher's office and shake the bell so loudly that the gonging fills the classrooms and all the spaces in between. All the children and teachers hear the sound and come out of their classes and walk very quietly down the stairs and out into the playground, all because you rang the bell. I never have come 12th.